So our next task is to take our completed application and publish it. But there's a few things we're going to need to do before we get to that stage. Now, both Create React App and .NET CLI make it incredibly easy to create published versions and production versions of our application, both the API and the client side. But there are some things that we need to do on the client side to prepare our app before we publish it. And specifically what we have, if I take a look at the search, what we've got inside here is a couple of hard-coded URLs inside here. And let's narrow that search down just to the client app. And inside the client app, let's just find in folder and search for local host. And the couple of places where we have this visible is in our agent.ts. We have the base URL set to localhost 5000. This is hard-coded and we want to change this. And we also have this inside our activity store as well for the chat URL. So what we can do to resolve this is inside React, we have the ability to add custom environment variables. So depending on which environment we're running in, either development or production, then we can create an environment file and set some variables which we can use in place of those hard-coded URLs. And I'm on the Adding Custom Environment Variables page, and whilst we've got a couple defined for us, like node env, and we can add our own, and the rules are that any custom ones that we add have to begin with React_app_, all in uppercase letters. And we've got the note here saying that we must do this, as any other variables except node_env will be ignored to avoid accidentally exposing private keys on the machine that could have the same name. And where we can store these, I'm just going to scroll down slightly, is, and keep going down. And what we can do is create some .env files. And we can create some for specific environments. So we've got .env development and we've got .env production. And that's what we're going to create for our environment variables. And let's go and do this now. So I'll just go back to Windows Explorer, or the Explorer window, and just close everything else down. And inside the client app, in the root of the client app, we want to create two new files, and one's going to be called .env.development, and the other one, I'll just create this at the same time, is going to be .env.production. And we'll start with the development one, and the first one we'll create will be React_app_API_URL equals, and then http://localhost:5000/API. And the second one, I'll just copy this line down, will be API chat_URL, and we'll just set this to /chat at the end. So those are our development ones, and I'm just going to copy these and paste them into .env production. And what we'll do is we'll just remove the localhost reference and just set it to /API and /chat. What we're going to do with our client app is bundle it in with our API, and we're going to publish our app as one monolithic app for convenience. But of course, our client app could be hosted in a completely different location, in which case this would be the address of our production API server. So let's go and adjust the hard-coded URLs we have in our application, and let's go to the agent.ts file. And what we can do, instead of using this hard-coded URL, is we'll set this to process.env.react underscore app underscore API underscore URL. And we'll also do the same thing for the chat hard-coded URL, and that's inside our activity store. So let's head there. And what we'll do is we'll simply replace this, and I'll just paste in the contents of my clipboard. But instead of API URL, it's going to be API underscore chat underscore URL. And we get the red underscore here saying that the argument of type string or undefined is not assignable to a parameter of type string. So we also need to give this the exclamation mark to remove that particular warning. So with that in place, and in order for that to take effect, we do actually need to restart our client application. So let's just shut this down and restart this. And all we're making sure here is that we haven't broken anything. And we've gone to the not found page, but that's fine. I'll just go back to the activities and make sure we can click on various elements that call our API, and that's still working just fine. Let's go to the chat function and make sure this still works as well. I'll just add a comment, and that is still good as well. So what we also want to do as part of this preparation is remove the sleep from our agent file, because we don't want to add unnecessary delays, obviously, when we're publishing our application. So back in our agent.ts, what we're going to do now is make our app blazingly fast, and we're going to take out all of these sleep statements from our Axios methods and remove it from there, and remove it from delete as well. And there's one more located inside our activities, and we'll just remove this one as well. And that should be good. And then we can go ahead and remove the sleep function. And what we'll find now is our application is incredibly quick, and we can click around and everything sort of loads almost instantly. So what we'll do next is create a production build of our React application, and we'll take a look at that next.